Going back to my conversation with Dave Bartoo right before I hopped on the line, if you follow him, again, give him a follow. He's a tremendous follow on social media at CFB Matrix. And he has been putting out here schedules. He's trying to make it balanced in the SEC. And the way he explained it to me, you got to put teams that are at the top of the league when it comes to recruiting, your Alabamas, Georgias, Texas, and LSU, I believe was his other. You got to keep them in unique pods. Otherwise, it just gets too unbalanced with the schedules. Yeah, so these are the four that Dave Bartoo, I'll throw it up on the screen. He's got his 1 seeds, Alabama, LSU, Texas, and Georgia. Just based on recent college football history, those are the four that are the strongest recruiters. You go down just a peg below that, your 2 seeds, Auburn, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Florida. And 3 seeds, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Arkansas, South Carolina. And then finally the 4 seeds, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Missouri, and Kentucky. Now I realize, we're not going to the pod system, but Bartoo thinks this is basically what you got to go to if you're going to go to this format. You got to keep it as balanced as possible out of the pure fairness of the SEC. Now, I went a little bit deeper here and kind of marked the teams, and I'm already getting blowback on some of these matchups. But, of course, in your pods, you got to keep Alabama and Auburn. That's a dead giveaway. But I would keep Alabama and Tennessee and Alabama and Mississippi State, which I know Hail State fans, not a fan of that matchup. I get it, but you've been playing for over 100 years together, the 2 closest campuses in the SEC. I think Alabama and Mississippi State, if we go to a 9-team schedule with the 3 permanent rivals, I think, hell, nobody wants to get matched up with Alabama, but I think that's where it's going to be. For Arkansas, I gave you Texas, which I know Razorback fans are going to like. Ole Miss, I think that's a fair matchup, and that's always a hell of a game. And Missouri, and I know right out the gate, Razorback fans, you don't give a damn about Missouri, but that's been a tremendous series. It's easy to get to the travel is not that big of a factor. And again, we're trying to create balance here with the 3 permanent rivals. I mean, hell, Alabama, Texas A&M, that would be a hell of a games there, but 9 times out of 10, all those other teams are going to recruit better than you. So do you really want to get paired up with just the elite of the elite, or do you want to get paired up with teams that you actually match up well historically in recent SEC history? I don't know. That's up for you to decide. For Auburn, of course, we got Alabama, no-brainer, Georgia, and just to go basically easy on Auburn, and proximity's close there, Vanderbilt. I've seen Auburn paired with Florida in place of Vanderbilt, but I just don't think you can give Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. I know Florida's been down here, but if they get that thing rolling, good God, Auburn is just, they're never going to be able to compete with the 3-headed juggernaut there. Now, this one I think Florida fans would get on board with. Florida facing Georgia annually, South Carolina annually, and Kentucky. And that's been a nice little series there in recent years. I know that doesn't make a ton of sense for the geography of Kentucky versus Florida, but that's been a good game for damn near half a decade here between these two. So it makes some sense there. South Carolina, the proximity is there. And again, with Georgia, I think Florida fans, I think they'd be pretty damn happy with that one. Georgia, of course, you got Florida, Auburn, and South Carolina. So all of a sudden, South Carolina, you may be saying, well, what the hell? Our 3 permanent rivals is looking pretty tough. And that it is for sure. Kentucky playing Tennessee, I think that makes a lot of sense. Missouri for the Wildcats. And then I already mentioned it, Florida. I know Kentucky obviously doesn't want to go to the 9 game. It's been well documented, but this 3 teams, this is about as good as it's going to get. I think maybe you could throw in Vandy in there somehow, but I think a lot of Kentucky fans would get on board with this 3 if that's what it is. LSU, Texas A&M and LSU fans dying to keep that game together. Let's give it to them. LSU, Ole Miss, nice little rivalry there. And then Mississippi State. Again, I think this is a three-teamer I think LSU fans could get on board with. Ole Miss, keeping Mississippi State, of course. LSU, that rivalry. And again, I mentioned it, Arkansas. I think Ole Miss will be fine with this one. Mississippi State, now here, probably not too happy with this one. I'm already seeing some feedback here, but of course you're keeping the Ole Miss Egg Bowl, LSU and Alabama. That is a damn gauntlet for Mississippi State, but I mean it's going to be a gauntlet regardless here, unless somehow you get you find a way to give them Auburn or Vanderbilt or something like that. But Mississippi State, I don't think I'm going to get any Hail State followers from for that three-team permanent division rival. Missouri, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and again, Arkansas. I think Missouri fans will be pretty happy with that. Three teams that you have some history with and have shown that you can compete with in the SEC. Oklahoma, Texas, of course. Already mentioned Missouri. And this, I know this pisses off the 12th man, but Texas A&M makes a lot of sense there. Oklahoma, Texas A&M. Those are the three I like for the Sooners. South Carolina, we covered it. Georgia and Florida. That's tough, so we're throwing you a bone. You get Vanderbilt as your third. Again, I don't think a lot of Gamecock fans would, maybe look at this and say that's too damn tough, but a lot of good games between South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida over the years, so there's some history there, and again, you're getting a bone there of getting Vanderbilt, as is Tennessee, who has to play Alabama and Kentucky in my model. I think that's a three-teamer that most Tennessee fans would be happy to sign up for. Texas, again, you're getting Oklahoma, got to keep that Red River game alive. Texas A&M and Arkansas. That's a hell of a trio for the Texas Longhorns. No layups there. A&M, we've covered it. Texas, LSU, and Oklahoma. And then last but not least, Vanderbilt. Keep the in-state with Tennessee. Get in South Carolina. And you get Auburn. If I'm a Vanderbilt fan, I think I'm even happy with that. So, that's one that Clark Lea and company, as you continue to rebuild your program, could potentially compete with those three programs. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section there. But again, we're trying to make this one not necessarily, the dream three where you can beat them every year, but we're trying to keep this competitive and match you up with certain recruiters that you're on the same level with, if possible, with proximity, with history. There's a lot of ways to go here with the 9-game conference schedule, which hopefully will get passed in the years to come. But once we have Dave Bartoo on the line, we might have more people in favor of the 8-game model, which it doesn't seem like we got many. So that's another reason I want to have Bartoo on the line to kind of give the other side of the argument. He made some good points, and again, he's not convinced me, but he's given me a lot to consider. And I think he's in the ear of a couple SEC programs, and that's why we didn't have the vote go down here in Destin last week.